Welcome back. You know it's just you and me down here in the dungeon, breaking down the quarterfinals. Where does the time go? The quarterfinal round of Class 5A. Interesting matchups here. Not really totally surprised with the field here. I mean, there's a couple, obviously. I think Taylorville is a 3 seed beating Highland was shocking, but then you find out Highland lost their starting quarterback halfway through that game, and that kind of makes a little bit more sense. But anyway, a huge win by Taylorville. Other than that, I mean, you know, despite the seedings, and again, you basically have to ignore the seedings at this time of year. I'm not really stunned. Let's go through it. And again, we're going to talk more kind of keys of the game here from here on out. So quarterfinal, semifinal, finals. These videos will be more, hopefully a little more in-depth and kind of my take and my expectations of what to expect in these ball games. So let's start. Geneseo at Sycamore again. Just tremendous matchup in the northern part of the state up in Sycamore, just outside of DeKalb. Geneseo, I mean, anyone that's familiar with 5A and familiar with Geneseo, it's you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a big-time power running game out of the Maple Leafs. They are going to want to control the clock and control the ball. They will throw with Greg Rusk at quarterback. Interesting. They will throw the ball a little bit more than they generally do, and some years, it's most of the years actually, it's been because they didn't want to throw the ball. Some years because they really weren't great at throwing the ball. I think this year it's more of a case of really being able to use play action a little bit more as a weapon. But hey, first and foremost, the Leafs want to pound the football, control the clock. Now, Sycamore, I think maybe a little bit more speed, a little bit more athletes than Geneseo has this year. I just actually finished watching tape on all these guys. And Sycamore's interesting because they've got a terrific linebacker. I've been raving about Brett Weaver all season long. Also playing some fullback now, and it's been a good match. And offensively, probably a little more run-oriented this year with the Spartans as opposed to the last couple of years. But again, a very good program. And, you know, this is going to be the who commits a fumble, who commits a few key penalty type of game. I'm not expecting a huge scoring game here. I think it could be very tight. And then weather. We don't talk about weather enough sometimes. I think weather definitely becomes a factor. If it does, I think that benefits Geneseo. So when it's all said and done, I like the Leafs here. I think key to the game for Geneseo, what we just talked about, being able to establish the run, keeping the ball away from Sycamore, because Sycamore's got some game breakers, and you want to avoid that. You just want to control tempo if you're Geneseo. That's your game plan every single game. So that's a key for Geneseo. For Sycamore, I mentioned the big playmakers. Kid like Dion Hooker could loom absolutely large in this ball game. Type of kid that can really break things open. And again, that is the key for Sycamore, being able to break open a big play, take away the football from Geneseo, and stops on defense. Absolutely key. So there you go. Montini at Marian Central Catholic. Well, here we go again. These two, you know, longtime rivals, both coming from the Suburban Christian Conference now. Kind of both went their separate ways this year. Montini with the rest of the Suburban Blue go to the Catholic League. Marian Central Catholic stays in the goes to the East Suburban Catholic. Again, not surprised at all. These two are hooking up once again. Now the key in these ball games for Montini, being able to slow down Billy Ball in that passing game defensively. I know that Montini's defense played very well against Joliet Catholic, but to me this is a totally different beast than what you saw out of Joliet Catholic this past week. So defensively, I think is a key for Montini. You expect the offense to be able to score and be productive. Was very impressed with the combination of passing game from Chuck Norgal. And again, Leon Thornton had a huge game. He was my player of the game. Prince Walker, a very, very nice running back. And Montini always has the skills, and you expect them to be able to score. Key in this game for Montini, no question. Defense, can they slow down that Marian Central passing game? Now, on the flip side as well, I think Marian, a couple of key issues. Number one, the very young secondary. I mentioned it in the preview. It's almost all juniors going against a very good skills group for Montini. That's a concern if I'm Marian Central. And then also being able to really finish drives and to be able to run and pass effectively. I know Marian's been very heavy pass, which they generally are, but You know, you look at some of the more successful teams in the past, they've had that 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 yard rusher to go along with the passing game. I think Marian Central is going to have to establish some type of running game, really just to control clock and keep Montini's offense off the field. So again, great ball game. Now Morris at Peoria. Morris, not a big surprise to me. And I know they were an 8 seed and they were 5-4, and people had their concerns, but you know, it was one of those seasons where I think it just took the Redskins a little while to find themselves. They had some key injuries during the season, so a lot of issues there. But I think the key in this ballgame for Morris is they're going up against a very athletic Peoria team, a team that's on a roll. I think if you're Morris, you've got to set the tone, and you've got to be physical. You've got to be physical on both sides of the ball, make those kind of two-way players from Peoria really work, and make them work more on defense, obviously, than offense. You want to limit their touches, but I think Morris might have a big physicality advantage in this ballgame. They need to use it, as well as you've got to play clean. You can't turn the ball over. Got to avoid penalties, and it's never an easy thing to do, especially on the road. Peoria, Tim Thornton. Again, Tim Thornton's done a great job down there, especially the last couple of years. This is a program that's really starting to come along. I think the key for Peoria, I mentioned it, there's a speed advantage, there's an athletic advantage, I think, overall. On the Lions' side of the field, I think they need to use that. They need to be able to break some big plays and really get Morris on their heels. And if this becomes a shootout, I think it becomes all Peoria. So, again, those are keys in that ball game. And then finally, Sacred Heart at Taylorville. I mean, Sacred Heart, it's just, and I jokingly put in the preview, Taylorville wins over everyone. And that's basically how I feel, maybe until the state final when we see the matchup. But Sacred Heart, number 1 seed, number 1 ranked team in 6A, and deservedly so. Absolutely on a roll. I mean, this offense has just been scary efficient this year. I don't see that changing against Taylorville. Taylorville, a huge win against Highland, again, to advance. The first time this program's ever been in the second round, or actually been in the quarters. You know, it's exciting, but Taylorville is run, you know, kind of smash mouth football, something that Sacred Heart has played against every single year. And so the keys for Sacred Heart, I think, is just to execute. You know, keep it clean, avoid the turnovers, and go out and do what you do. And if Sacred Heart does that, I think they win again going away. Now, this is a Sacred Heart team that has literally posted a running clock in every game. I think that's a definite possibility in this game. Taylorville on the flip side, I mean, they have to control the ball. They have to be able to run the game, run the ball, be able to just take the air out of the ball, and then hopefully be able to force a couple of turnovers, maybe take advantage. But you know, it's a huge task for Taylorville. I mean, I've talked to some people down that way. I think the thought going into this, and certainly not from the team and the coaches, but more from the fan base, if they even score against Sacred Heart, they're going to consider it a win. So take that for what you will. The key, again, as I mentioned for Taylorville, got to run the ball, got to take the air out of the ball, and capitalize on any Sacred Heart mistakes, and hopefully that'll keep you in the ball game. There you go. My keys and my take on Class 5A in the quarterfinals. See you soon.